So I want to start today by asking everyone a question. What's one thing that all of us in this room have in common? And you can just say it, whatever you can all raise your hand. Just go for it. Alright, Candace has said it. We're UF students. And last time I checked, UF's a top school, like I mentioned before in the last speech. And that means we're all actually pretty smart. But when we're surrounded by other students who more or less have the same intelligence as us, we can forget this. But everyone in this room has the ability to solve even the world's hardest puzzles. My name is Joseph, and today I'm going to teach you guys some basics on how to solve Rubik's Cube. So, do you mind mixing this up for me? So before I start, I'll give you a background on how I learned Rubik's Cube. Around 7th grade, my mom gave me one for my birthday, because she knew I was a nerd, I guess, and because I was really into chess and stuff like that. And so I got it, couldn't figure out for the life of me. But then I went on the internet, got help from other sources, and after a few weeks I was eventually able to solve the cube. And since then, I've solved it probably tens of thousands of times, and I've got my time to about a minute. But I want to emphasize something. I'm no genius, especially my 7th grade self. So all of us have the ability to go from before to after. That was Colin, the world record holder, solved in about 5 seconds. But all of us, maybe not as fast as Colin, can do what he just did. Alright, thank you, awesome job. So, with these steps I'm about to teach you, we can be like Colin. So here's the first 3 steps. And, now I know what you're thinking, right? One does not simply do that and call themselves a Rubik's Cube solver. But for you non-believers who have no faith in your cubing skills, you know that's your way out. But I'm going to start by actually teaching you guys some basics on solving the cube. So first, a lot of you have probably been able to solve for one side, and that's what we're going to do first. It's easy as solving just for one side. But there's a little quirk to this part. As you can see up on the screen, we're solving one side, but also color-coding the sides of that solved side. So this is actually probably the hardest part when it comes to solving a Rubik's Cube. Because this part requires a lot of understanding of the cube and be able to move pieces by just knowing the movement. But once you can get this part down, it's actually, from here on out, incredibly easy. And it looks cool too, because after this, all we have to do is memorize algorithms and then plug them into the cube, and you'll just slowly move your way to solving it. So you can see here I've solved one side, and if you look on the sides, you'll see T's, which means I've solved the perfect side. Not to get confused with that perfect side solve we had earlier. So then the next step is we take it, flip it over, and then move up the cube. And so I'll show you the next step, and that's to solve the middle layer. And to solve the middle layer, you just look for a line of the same color. We have one right here, and you just plug in the algorithm. And the speed I'm going at right now is something that took me a while to figure out. But you don't need to be doing that. You can do it one at a time, slow. But after years of doing this, I was able to eventually do that. So don't get worried about that. But anyway, we got the middle here done, and we always keep the base intact. So that's the key. And so now we move up to the next step, which is the top layer. And we start by looking on top. As you can see, we have a little L here, but we need this cross, right? And so you look at it. I have an L, so I do the formula for the L. And then you get the cross, and everything stays intact. And we move on to the next step. We have to line up these colors here. We have one here, we don't have that one. We have that one, don't have that one. We need all 4 to match. So you just plug in the algorithm, and then they'll all match. Now these algorithms you have to memorize, and it does take a while, but it's totally worth it because it looks so cool, and it looks like you're doing it through your smartness. Before I go on doing the last step, which is these 4 corners, I just want to throw out some fun facts I think are really interesting. My favorite one being that Erno Rubik himself made this cube not for the public and become a best-selling toy, but because he had a class to teach, and he used it for teaching. But once he created it, messed it up, and realized how impossible it was to put that together, he decided that once he solved it, he would show it to the public. And he did solve it after months, and he put it out there, and people learned how to solve it, and then learned how to share that information. So even someone like me, and someone like you, can solve the cube faster than Mr. Rubik ever thought possible. So to conclude, life can sometimes be like this cube. We'll come upon situations that can seem impossible to solve. But by thinking outside the cube, and with help from others, even the world's hardest puzzles can be solved. And before I go, I just want to say,